Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a wise and respected teacher. He had a group of eager students who were always excited to learn from him. One day, the teacher decided to teach them a valuable lesson using an empty jar. He gathered his students in the classroom and placed a large empty jar on the table in front of them. The students were curious to know what the teacher had in store for them. The teacher started by filling the jar with large rocks until they reached the top. He then asked the students, "Is the jar full?" The students looked at the jar and agreed that it was indeed full. The teacher smiled and said, "Well, let's see." He then took a bag of small pebbles and poured them into the jar. The pebbles filled the spaces between the large rocks. Once again, he asked the students, "Is the jar full now?" The students were a bit wiser this time and hesitated before answering. One of the students said, "Well, it might not be completely full." The teacher nodded and smiled. He then took a bag of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand filled the tiny gaps left by the pebbles. Again, the teacher asked the students, "Now, is the jar full?" The students were now more cautious and thought about it for a moment. One of the students replied, "Probably not." The teacher, pleased with their response, took a pitcher of water and poured it into the jar until it was filled to the brim. He then asked the students one final time, "Now, is the jar full?" The students, now understanding the lesson, answered in unison, "No, it is definitely full." The teacher looked at his students and said, "This jar represents your life. The large rocks represent the most important things in your life, such as your family, health, and education. The pebbles symbolize the other significant aspects, like your career and friendships. The sand represents the smaller things, such as material possessions and hobbies. And finally, the water signifies all the little moments of joy and experiences that make your life complete." He continued, "If you fill your jar with sand and water first, there will be no room for the rocks, which are the most important things. But if you prioritize and put the big rocks in first, you can fit in the pebbles and water around them." Remember, it's crucial to focus on the things that truly matter in life and not get caught up in the trivial and insignificant. The students listened attentively, realizing the importance of prioritizing their lives. They left the classroom that day with a valuable lesson that would stay with them forever. And so, the teacher's story of the empty jar taught his students the importance of setting priorities and making the most of their lives. From that day forward, they strived to fill their lives with the big rocks first and embrace the true meaning of happiness and fulfillment.